This video is about first law of thermodynamics for closed system. Okay, first law of thermodynamics for closed system. Now, first of all, we will see what is the difference between closed system and open system. Okay, so closed system is the system that allows to exchange energy and heat with the surrounding. The system that allows to exchange energy and heat across its boundary is called as a closed system. Whereas open system is the system that allows to exchange energy, heat as well as mass with the surrounding is open system. Okay, the system that allows to exchange energy, heat and mass across its boundary is called as a open system. तो इस वीडियो में हम क्लोज्ड सिस्टम के लिए फर्स्ट लॉ स्टडी करने वाले हैं। तो इसका क्या मतलब हुआ कि इस वीडियो में हम क्लोज्ड सिस्टम के लिए फर्स्ट लॉ स्टडी करेंगे, तो हमें बैलेंसेस जब हम करेंगे तो हमें बस एनर्जी बैलेंस करने की ज़रूरत है, मास बैलेंस देखने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, क्योंकि क्लोज्ड सिस्टम के लिए हम फर्स्ट लॉ स्टडी कर रहे हैं और क्लोज्ड सिस्टम में सिस्टम एंड सराउंडिंग, इन बिटवीन द सिस्टम एंड सराउंडिंग मास एक्सचेंज नहीं होता है. Okay, so while studying the first law of thermodynamics for closed system, we no need to consider the term mass over here. Okay, clear till this point? Now, the first law of thermodynamics is based on the law of conservation of energy. Okay, first law is based on law of conservation of energy. So पहले हम एनर्जी से रिलेटेड कुछ टर्म्स क्लियर करते हैं, फिर हम फर्स्ट लॉ को स्टडी करेंगे. ओके, as we have seen that the first law of thermodynamics is based on the law of conservation of energy, we will study the different forms of energy. Okay, so basically there are two types of forms of energy: stored energy and transient energy. Okay, and in the stored energy there are two forms, that is macroscopic energy and microscopic energy. And macroscopic energy have two types, that is kinetic energy and potential energy, while transient energy is of either work energy or heat energy. Okay, so we will study this in more detail with the help of this diagram. Okay, so consider that this is the vessel, and this is the and fluid is filled in and liquid is filled into it, and we are and here stirrer is provided. Okay, so we are stirring the liquid with the help of this stirrer. Okay, so if we stir the liquid with the help of this stirrer, then what is going to happen, that if we continue stirring for considerably long time, then the temperature of the liquid is going to rise. Okay, it means that what we have done, we have what it means, work is done on the system by surrounding. Okay, work is done by the system, work is done on the system by surrounding. It means system receives energy in the form of work here. Work in this case. Okay, system receives energy in the form of work. Okay, and if we provide as we keep the stirring, its temperature is going to increase, and if we provide the cooling jacket surrounding the vessel, then what is going to happen, we can successfully extract the heat from the system. Okay, and if we provide the jacket, then we will successfully extract the heat energy from the system. Okay, then in between process, when work is done on the system by surrounding, then the work will be considered as a positive for the system and negative for the surrounding. This is sign convention. When work is done by the surrounding on the system, then work is going to be positive for the system and negative for the surrounding. And during all this process, somehow energy is stored in the system, isn't it? Then what is the form of energy, in which form it is stored in the system? It is not a kinetic energy, because it is not in the form of the motion of the fluid. It is not the potential energy, because it is not by the virtue of its position. Then in which form the energy is stored in the system? The energy is stored in the system in the form of internal energy in this case. uh, are you clear? Energy is, during this process, energy is stored in the system in the form of internal energy. Okay, now consider different example with the same diagram. Okay, uh, suppose this is the vessel and here is fluid inside this vessel, and if we heat the vessel by flowing heating fluid through its jacket, if we provide heat to the system, then in that case we are providing energy in the form of heat to the system. Okay, we are providing energy in the form of heat to the system, means we can add or remove the we can add or remove the energy to the system or from the system in the form of work and heat. Okay, we can add the energy to the system or we can extract the energy from the system in the form of work and heat. Okay, and energy is going to be stored in the system by the virtue of its kinetic energy, in the form of kinetic energy. If the energy is if the energy is by the virtue of motion, then only it is going to be kinetic energy. If the energy is possessed by the body by the virtue of its position, then only it is going to be potential energy. And in this case the energy is stored in the system in the form of internal energy. Okay, means we can provide and extract the energy to the system in the form of work and heat, and energy is stored over here in the form of internal energy. Okay, so what is this internal energy? We will study this in more detail. Okay, so we all are very well aware about that every matter is composed of the atoms and molecules. Okay, in this slide we are going to study the internal energy in more details. Every matter is composed of the atoms and molecules, and atoms undergo atomic interactions, as well as atoms and molecules undergo motion and spins of electrons. Also, atoms and molecules have ability to translate, rotate and vibrate. By virtue of its ability, they have translational energy, rotational energy and vibrational energy. Okay, so all combination of all these energies is internal energy. Okay, combination of all these forms of energy, all these forms of combination of all these forms of energy is called as the internal energy. Okay, so here we will study internal energy in more detail. So what is the definition of internal energy? Energy that resides at a microscopic level in the form of the translational, rotational and vibrational energy. It is the energy that resides at microscopic level. Okay, internal energy is residing in the body, in the fluid, at microscopic level. Okay, and it is in the form of translational, rotational and vibrational energy, as we have seen in the previous slide. So it can be also said that energy possessed by stored by the body due to microscopic modes of motion. Energy stored by the body due to microscopic modes of motion. Okay, and internal energy is intensive variable. It means it is independent of the size of the system. Okay, and it is a state variable. Please remember this point. It is a state variable. What does it means? That any change in the internal energy due to process would only be dependent on the initial states and final states, and it is not dependent on the path followed by the process. It is the state variable, and it is not depend on the path of the process, but its value is depend on the only initial state and final state of the system. So we can write the internal energy equation of internal energy in this form, means only the value of U2 and U1 gives us value of change in internal energy, and we need not to know the path through which the process changes in the process occur. Okay, as it is a state variable, we can write this equation. Okay, clear till this point? One more point to be noted over here about internal energy is that it is not a directly measurable property, means absolute value of internal energy cannot be calculated, means we cannot calculate the absolute value of internal energy, but changes in the internal energy is possible to calculate. Okay, here also we are calculating changes in the internal energy, and not we cannot get the direct value of internal energy. Okay, the unit of internal energy is joule, as the energy of unit of energy is joule. Here the unit of internal energy is also joule. Here T is written for the total internal energy joule. If we want to calculate the molar internal energy, then we divide this unit by the number of moles, then we will get molar internal energy, and its unit will be joule per mole. Okay, and if we want to calculate the specific internal energy, then we have to divide the internal energy with the mass, then its unit will be joule per mass. Ut by m is the specific internal energy, joule per mass. Okay, now here we will study the first law of thermodynamics. First of all, we will see the statement for the first law. It states that energy can neither be created nor be destroyed. When it disappears in one form, it must reappear at the same time in other form. Okay, so we will study this in more detail. What does it mean? That it means that total amount of energy in the universe is constant. Now universe is now suppose this is the universe is made up of system plus surrounding. Okay, universe is made up of system plus surrounding. Then the total what does first law states? That the total change in the energy of the universe is always going to be zero. It means that change in the energy of the system plus change in the energy of the surrounding is always going to be zero. Okay, we will explain it in more detail. Suppose that, as we have seen in the previous example, when the work was done on the system, suppose that the W amount of work is done on the system, then the same amount of work is done by the surrounding. When work is done on the system, then the work is done by the surrounding. So W will be positive for the system, and at the same time W will be negative for the surrounding. So W will get cancelled, and the total change in the energy of the universe is going to be zero. When work is done by the system, then W is going to be negative for the system. But at the same time, work is done on the surrounding. When the system does the work on the surrounding, W will be negative for the system but positive for the surrounding. But the total amount of work, the value of W will be equal in both these cases, both time. So the total change in the energy of the universe is going to be zero. Also, when the heat is added to the system, these are the sign conventions. When the heat is added to the system, the Q is going to be positive. But heat is added when we add heat to the system, heat is added by the surrounding. Okay, so the Q amount of heat is extracted from the surrounding. That's why Q will be positive for the system and Q will be negative for the surrounding. That's why total amount of Q will be zero, means total amount of change in the energy of the universe is going to be zero. When we extract the heat from the system, then then Q will be negative for the system, but at the same time that Q amount of heat is going to be added to the surrounding. That's why Q is going to be positive for the surrounding. That's why total amount of heat exchanged between this total amount of change in the energy is going to be zero. Okay, these are the sign conventions. Remember these sign conventions. When work is done on the system, it is going to be positive. When work is done by the surrounding, it is going to be negative. When heat is added to the system, it is positive, and when heat is extracted from the system, then it is going to be negative for the system. Okay, these are the sign convention. Then what it tells us, that first law, what does the first law tells us, that change in the energy of the system, as we have seen in the previous slide, that we can change means add or extract the energy from the system in the form of work or heat. Okay, we have seen that we can add or extract the energy from the system in the form of work and heat, but when we add the heat to the system, the same amount of heat is extracted from the surrounding. That's why the total change in the energy of the universe is going to be zero. Okay, clear till this point? Now we will see the first law in more detail. Here we are studying the first law for the closed systems. Means closed system can exchange the energy in the can exchange heat and work with the surrounding. Okay, closed system is the system, as we have seen, that closed system can exchange heat and work with the surrounding. Closed system cannot exchange mass or matter. Okay, so the total change in the, as the first law states, that total change in the energy of the universe is equal to zero. Change in the energy of the system plus change in the energy of the surrounding is going to be zero. That's why the energy transfer takes place across the boundary of the system in the form of work or heat. So we are adding the energy to the system in the form of work and heat. Now suppose that the change in the energy of the system. How can we change the energy of the system? We can add heat to the system, or we can add work to the system, or we can extract the heat from the system, or we can or the system can do the work on the surrounding. In these forms only we can change the energy of the system. Okay, but where that energy is going to reside, that energy, we have seen that the energy is going to be stored in the any system in only three, either in only in three forms, either in the internal energy, either in the form of kinetic energy, or either in the form of potential energy. So this is the equation, mathematical equation for the first law of thermodynamics. Change in the total internal energy plus kinetic energy plus potential energy of the system is equal to the Q heat, total Q means heat, total heat input to the system, plus W means total work input to the system. Okay, or it can be written in for the or it can be written for per unit mass or mole. This is the mathematical expression for the first law, और ये हम पर यूनिट मास और मोल के फॉर्म में भी लिख सकते हैं. मीन्स डेल्टा यू इज इक्वल टू डेल्टा के ई, डेल्टा kinetic EK means delta kinetic energy plus delta potential energy is equal to Q plus W, and it can also be written in the differential form like this. It can be written in the differential form like this. Okay, but in the most of the cases, the changes in the potential and kinetic energy of the system are negligible. That's why the equation becomes change in the energy of the system is equal to Q plus W, and as the potential energy and kinetic energy terms are negligible, that's why the final equation becomes like this. Means the final equation becomes like this: du is equal to dq plus dw. As the potential energy and kinetic energy terms are negligible, the final equation becomes of the first law becomes like this. This is the same equation in terms of the intensive variables or intensive internal energy, and this is the same equation in the form of in terms of specific internal energy. Okay, now this is the final equation of the first law of thermodynamics. It is very important to note that it is this equation have one more specification, that it equates two path variable. We know that heat and work are the path variables and internal energy is the state variable. So the specification of this equation is that it equates two path variables, that is Q and W, with the state variable, that is internal energy. Okay. Now now here we will see the application of the first law of thermodynamics for the for the closed system. Okay, so we have seen in our previous example that if there is a vessel and we provide the heat to the vessel, then the body can then the liquid can then the fluid inside the vessel can retain the heat in the form of internal energy. If you provide heat to the system, then it can retain the heat in the form of internal energy. So heat capacity is the ratio of heat absorbed by the material to its temperature change. The definition of heat capacity is that the ratio of heat absorbed by the material to its temperature change. Means suppose we are providing delta Q amount of heat to the system, and then the ratio of heat provided to the system, that is delta Q to dt, means its rise in temperature, is heat capacity of that system. Okay. Now, now we will study the application of the first law of thermodynamics for the isochoric process. So what is isochoric process? It is the process in which the volume of the system remains constant. When the system, suppose that P1, T1 and V1 temperature and volume of the system, and it is going to change from P1 T1 V1 to P2 T2 V2, means its volume is going to be constant, but its temperature and pressure are going to change from this point to this point. Here you can see this on the diagram for isochoric process, PV diagram for isochoric process. Here you can note that at this particular point the temperature of system is T1, pressure of the system is P1 and P2 at these 2 points, but the volume of the system is going to be constant at these both points, at point 1 and at point 2 the volume of the system is constant. Okay, so dV means change in the volume of the system is 0 for the isochoric process. So dW is also going to be 0. How that comes? Work done on the reversible process is given by dW is equal to minus P dVt. Okay, work done is equal to minus P dV, and dV in the case of isochoric process is 0. That's why work done is going to be 0. So the but the first law of thermodynamics says that dUt is equal to dQ plus dW, but in this case dW is equal to 0. Therefore the first law becomes dUt is equal to dQ for the isochoric process. For the isochoric process, first law becomes, the statement of first law becomes this. Okay, this is the actual statement of the first law, but for this case the statement of for the isochoric process, the first law becomes like this. Now if we consider the now we will see how to use the first law of thermodynamics for the isobaric process, means how to calculate. What is isobaric process? Isobaric process is the constant pressure reversible process means in the isobaric process the pressure of the system remains constant, but here you can see the temperature is going to change from T1 to T2, volume is going to change from V1 to V2, but the pressure of the system is going to be constant, that is P1 only. You can see the PV diagram for the isobaric process. Here consider the point location A at which the pressure, temperature of the system is T1 at this point and T2 at this point. Volume of the system is V1 at this point and V2 at this point. But the pressure of the system is only is going to be same in at both points. At both points means P1 only. The pressure of the system is P1 only. Okay, so the work done for the reversible process is given by minus P dVt. We have already seen that work done is given by P dVt. So dW is this equation can be written as dW is equal to minus d PV dt. Okay, as the pressure is constant, we can write this equation in this form. Okay, and this is the statement for first law. This is the statement for the first law of thermodynamics. Now if we put this value in this equation, then what is going to happen, we will get this equation. Okay, if we put this equation in this equation instead of for the dW, if we put this value, then we will get this equation. Okay, and in terms of dq, and if we calculate in terms of dq, we will get this equation. Okay, we will take derivative outside the bracket, then we will get this equation. Okay, we are here and we get this equation, and it is very important term that is u plus pdv. So we will take new term for this, that is enthalpy. We will define new term for this equation, that is u plus pdv, and that term is called enthalpy. So the total enthalpy is expressed as a ut plus pvt. Okay, dq is equal to dht. So dq is going to equal to dht. We have created new term over here. We have created new term here over here for this particular equation, and that is enthalpy. And so this equation reduces to dq is equal to dht. Okay, now we will see more details about term enthalpy. Enthalpy is the extensive property. It is extensive variable, means it depends on the quantity of the matter, and it is the state variable, means its a value is not dependent on the path. Its a value is depend on the absolute value itself. The unit of enthalpy is joule. Now here we will see the heat capacity. You have already seen that in our example of vessel, that body can retain the heat in the form of internal energy. So the definition of heat capacity is the ratio of heat absorbed by the material to its temperature change. Okay, mathematically it can be expressed as delta Q by dt. Okay, so the for constant volume reversible process, if we want to calculate specific, if we want to calculate heat capacity at constant volume, then for the isochoric process, the first the expression for the first law is dut is equal to dq. So if we put this value in this equation, we will get cv is equal to delta q by delta t is equal to dut by dou u by dou t at constant volume. Okay, so if we want to get in terms of q, then we will get this equation on integration. Okay, so what is the significance of this equation? If we have the value of heat capacity at constant volume and we have the value of temperature range, then we can calculate the internal energy and also the we can calculate the value of change in the internal energy, that is, and also the heat absorbed by the body. Okay, similarly for the isobaric process, that is for constant pressure process, the expression for the first law is this. So we can write in terms of if we keep this value in this equation, then we will get this equation. And we can also write in terms of on integrating this we will get this equation. Means if we have the value of heat capacity at constant pressure and temperature change, then we can calculate the value of change in enthalpy and change in the energy of the system. Okay.